You sing it like a Mercha Tivcha, or you sing it separately?
You sing it as their separate notes. Mercha has its own tune, and Tivcha has its own tune.
I can't get that in my head because I learned. It shows you early learning. And it looks like brackets, so
but again, there's a Mercha Sof Pasuk. There's a Mercha comes with other combinations after it, so it's not always Mercha leads into Tivcha. It has its own.
Mercha Sof Pasuk or Tivcha Sof Pasuk?
Yeah, we just said that. What ended the last pasuk? Avi Kanan, Mercha Sof Pasuk. Look on page 50, page 88, right at the top. Avi Kanan, Mercha Sof Pasuk. So we just had that right there. But you can also have Tivcha Sof Pasuk. Look at 920 on page 89. Vayita Karem. Tivcha Sof Pasuk. But by the rules of reading, Tivcha has that implied slight pause after it, whereas Mercha doesn't. So Avi Kanaan, Mercha Sof Pasuk, those two words are grouped together. And Vayita Karem, Tivcha Sof Pasuk, Vayita, pause, Karem. So this Perush gives us the ability to understand why those two words are separated. And when we get to it, we'll see why those two words are separated, whereas Avi Kanan are connected.
But when you have Mercha, those are examples of when you have a Mercha Sof Pasuk and Tivcha Sof Pasuk. But when you have Mercha followed by a Tivcha,
which is here Shlosha Ele, right? What we just read, 9:19, 1 and 2. Right. Shlosha Ele, Mercha Tivcha. Mercha implies something about Shlosha, that it's slightly connected to what was before. Right. So the sons came from a common root, Noach, but they passed on all of this differentiation to go forward. Ele closes off the phrase, looks backwards at Shlosha, and tells us that what they passed on was differentiated from there, and closes the thought of Shlosha, that there are really three separate roots that define the way that all the branches of the human tree create societies from here on in, that it isn't a single philosophy of Noach that's being passed on, it's the three different philosophies of the sun that's being passed on.
And when you sing Shlosha Ele, I don't want to wait till you sing it at the end. Just sing it
now. Shlosha Ele.
So you pause them.
No, there's no pause.
No pause.
Shlosha Ele, but it's not, the words don't run together. There is actually, so you have to enunciate each word. Right. There's enough of a pause to separate out the words and not slur them. So It's not a single note, but there is a connection between the two. There's no pause in between, other than to fully enunciate the words.
That's what I'm asking. When a Mercha is followed by Tivcha,
there is enough of a pause so that you can tell that they're two separate words.
No, that I know, yeah.
Well, no, there are places where you will actually have something that tells you have to separate out the two words, because otherwise you're going to slur them together when you pronounce them. So, that'll happen too. But other than that, you give just enough time to finish pronouncing the first word, and then you start the second one.
No, I don't mean pronunciation-wise. I mean.
But they're not song-wise, they are separate note combinations. They do have enough space in between that you can tell. Whereas after Ele, after the Tivcha, you'll have an emphasized pause. So if the space between Shlosha and Ele is defined as 1, then the space after Ele is defined as 1.5. And the space after the Et Nachta, or the Sof Pasuk, will be defined as 2. Yes or no?
I thought,
the separate words.
Mercha Tivcha Sof Pasuk.
So, Mercha, space 1. Tivcha, space 1.5. Sof Pasuk, space 2. New phrase.
But I meant
so if you're writing it as music, then you have to think of, okay, how much of a pause is there? So you have group of notes, little pause, group of notes, more exaggerated pause, Mercha, space, Tivcha, more exaggerated pause, Et Nachta, even more exaggerated pause.
I'm not talking about the pause now. I'm talking. Let's say you wanted.
But that's exactly what you're talking about. You're talking about do the two run into each other and create a single thing, and they don't.
Right. Never.
They create something that's connected because there's not a big pause afterwards. But they're distinct.
Let's say there was not Merchat Tzipcha.
So look at
Merchat Tivir or something, or I don't know, just another note. Dargah. Like you would never there.
Dargah, Tivir. You separate out the two words still, but there's only that single space in between, enough to finish pronouncing the word, and then you go to the next phrase and pronounce the next word. But then after the Tivir, you've got that 1.5 space. Because you're going to pause and take a little breath, it's like a comma.
But
and Nafta and Sof Pasuk are like a period. And everything else are words that are connected in part of the sentence.
Think about it when we're offline.
When
we're not like here, because now you're under pressure. Stop it when you're having more of a chance to reflect upon it. Because you come back to them a lot. I think I think of it as
the bear, comma, who is a big animal. All of those words don't have the big pause. So the bear, there's not a big pause between the and the bear.
Right.
So that's the bear goes together, comma, who is a big animal, maybe semicolon, or more emphatic pause. Eats fish. No space between eats and fish, but a big space after fish.
Right.
So the bear, you say enough to enunciate the and enunciate bear. They're not strung together. Not the bear. It's the bear. So that's mercha tipcha, comma, who is a big animal, all with single spaces in between, followed by a more lengthy pause. Eats fish. Eats and fish together with a big pause after because you're at the end of the sentence.
No, but I was talking about the bear. So but
you stop enough to be able to say the bear.
But that doesn't mean anything on its own.
But okay, so
that's
brown bear.
Okay.
Right? The words are not important to the cadence.
That's like that. Okay.
So the idea is the notes. It's okay. No. People have to. If it's sticking in your mind, it might be sticking in somebody else's mind. So I think it's important that we understand this. The notes give enough differentiation to be able to define the words as separate. Now, when you get to Bnei Noach with a single note with an etnachta on it, then you still have to. You notice that there's that dash in between Bnei and Noach, which tells you that they've only got a single note on them, but you still have to enunciate the words, even though you're going to lengthen the note. So you're going to lengthen the note in order to be able to fit over that word phrase, because it's got two words in it, but you still have to enunciate each word. You can't Bnei Noach. Can't be that.
The person who put those dashes, was that the same time period as the Torah?
No, the dashes are part of.
Like Ezra?
The dashes are. Are they part of? I mean, you find them in the Chumash here. They're here.
Yeah, but they're not in the Sefer Torah.
They're not in the Sefer Torah, but none of the notes are in the Sefer Torah.
Right. So now, does it come at the same time as the notes?
Does it come the same time as the notes? Yes. Yeah, I mean, if you
it's not really a note, but it serves the purpose of a note, sort of, not for singing, but for punctuation and what we're talking about.
there's a connection, but a slight separation so that you get enunciation as well.
So let's
right. So you've got two words, so you have to say them as two words, but it's only got one note, so you have to spread the note over those two words.
Would you ever see Bnei Noach without that dash?
Sure.
And if that's the case, what would it mean there?
With one note or with two?
No, but without the dash.
Without the dash. No, you would never see it without the dash. As long as it had one note on the two words. If it's B'nai with a Munach and Noach with a Revi'i, then it wouldn't have the dash, because the notes would serve the purpose of separating out those two words.
Right.
Okay, number 3, B'nai Noach. Although originally they were all equal sons of Noach, during the course of history they were separated from one another and established their own dialects, which eventually became languages, tribes, and nationalities, as stressed by the stabilizing shape of the reading mark. So,
but this is before the Migdal, right?
This is before. Right. But we're saying that we're differentiating from Shlosha Eila. We're not differentiating from Noach. We're differentiating from Shlosha. We're differentiating from these 3 philosophies, which are now going to permeate history from this point on, and are going to lead to the way that things go from there on. And I just wanted to make a comment to compare this sentence, 919, Shlosha Eila B'nai, with a dot in the beit, and the previous pasuk, Vayiyu V'nei Noach, and they were the sons of Noach. So the dynamics of the grammar tell us that the letters Beged, Kefet, Beit, Gimel, Daled, Kaf, Pei, Tav are at the beginning of a word, have a dot that is put into them, except if the word before ends in Aleph, Hey, Yud, Vav, and, most importantly, and the 2 words are connected by the notes. If the notes tell you that there's a difference between them, so Vayiyu, Munach, followed by V'nei Noach, page 87, 918, number 1 and 2 there. So these are 2 notes that connect each other. Munach and Revi'i. There's no separation. Those 2 notes lead into each other. There's no pause after Vayiyu. So the Vav at the end of Vayiyu influences V'nei, not B'nai. Whereas in Shlosha Eila, that ends in a Hey, well, you should take the dot out of the beit afterwards. That's another one of those Aleph Hey Yud Vav letters. But Tipcha has that pause after it, so the Hey loses its influence over the beit, so the beit retains its dot. So in the first pasuk, Vayiyu V'nei Noach, Shlosha Eila, pause, B'nei Noach. So what's the difference? What's the difference in V'nei Noach and B'nei Noach? So number 1, it's pronounced differently. But we had said before that when the letter retains its dot, that's perhaps the word in its form of strength. And when it loses its dot, that's perhaps the word in its aspect of weakness. So, Shlosha Eila, when you combine all 3 of them, you have all of the influence, i.e. that they are the whole world, that they do perhaps have something redeeming about them, so they retain strength. They're B'nai Noach. But when we say that at the going out of the ark, they're going to lose that ability to have unity between them or creating unity by Vayiyu V'nei Noach. And they were the weakened sons of Noach because they're going to split from here. So this isn't part of this Perush, but I want you to notice that principle applies. And I think I gave the example before of Vayavo Moshe el Paro. Moshe came to Pharaoh when he announced the 10th plague. He came to him, told him that the 10th plague was going to happen, that the Makat Bechorot was going to happen. Vayetzei mipnei Pharaoh. He went out from Pharaoh, who was weakened. Went to him in his strength. Paro. Vayetzei mipnei Pharaoh. So again, very, very dramatic example of showing that this losing the dot actually has implications about the meaning of the word or or the function of the word.
Once he knows he's going to lose his firstborn, he knows the whole thing's over.
So before he was at least somebody who was in control,
right.
And now he's somebody who the tidal wave of events is going to go over.
Tidal wave,
no pun intended. Yes.
I actually looked at it quite opposite, but the same result is they are weakened when they are. You would think as a group they're unity.
Oh, unity is strength.
But none of them has the strength. They're all sort of their personalities are just all melding. So I look at that as a weakness, which is where the Vav is. Here, where they've gone out already, and they all have their own personalities. They all develop their own. They all get their own strength. That's how I thought it.
Yeah. So certainly, again, the implication is still the same.
Yeah.
That you have weakness in the first influence and strength in the second.
Yeah.
And there's no guidance that tells me which is the correct interpretation here, but I just want to point out that it's there and it is begging interpretation.
Well, wait a minute. But wait a minute. Doesn't that go against what we said? Because you'd expect the stronger one when they were all they had the Noach influence. That should make them stronger. I mean, that's stronger in our mind, because it's good to be the sons of Noah. But then later, when they're developing their personalities, we say they become stronger in their own personality. But
no,
the overall thing is that they're not Bnei Noach anymore. So
as Bnei Noach,
right.
They are under the influence of Noach. They are weaker personalities in and of themselves.
The personality is weaker, but the overall picture would.
So we're saying the influence, Hayotzim, that comes after. But initially, they're subservient to Noach. They're Bnei Noach.
That's a weakening.
They've weakened, but we're talking about them in and of themselves. They've weakened their personalities before, and here they've strengthened their personalities.
The irony is because we think of Bnei Noach is the strong one, the good one, let's say, when they're Bnei Noach. Like Joseph's brother, they were all one.
Like all band together.
Okay, but again.
Strength in numbers, you think.
But again.
Strength in numbers, being the sons of Noach is a good thing. But later when they built 1%, they left the Noach.
But certainly, Noach is defined as Ish Tzaddik, and none of the sons get that honorific. None of the sons get that being applied to them.
So looking at it from that way, it's like, you know what I mean? Like, to me, weaker means bad. But I know in the context of their personalities.
Right.
Right.
So it's talking about Bnei Noach. So it's talking about the way that they work.
But I'm talking about the concept of Bnei Noach.
Mm-hmm. So, okay. Well, the concept of Bnei Noach is relative to the concept of Noach.
Right. Are you kicking me all the time?
No, sorry.
Okay. Like shush.
All right.
No.
Number 4. Ume ele. And from them, with a tipcha. So this is going to look back and then have a slight pause after it. In relationship to the environmental conditions, diverse imaginations, various customs and laws emerged, and from these, independent nations developed, as referred backwards by the directional shape of the reading mark. So, ume ele, and looking back at, you've got these 3 dominant personalities, and you're putting them all into different places, and from all of that, we're going to differentiate, we're going to get things that go from there, and it looks back to who they were, separate 3 personalities, and we're going to pause after that because things are going to be different after that. Nafsa was spread with a mercha, so this is going to slightly be connected to what was come from before, but is mostly going to push us forward into what's going to come after. We'll come back to the note in a second. Number 5, just as the population was spread and acquired more living space, Lebensraum, so did their traditional practices assume expanded forms modulated by time and surroundings, as denoted by the directional shape of the reading mark. So their ability to spread moved from slightly what they had before, but mostly to what they developed in the future. Kol haaretz, all the land, with these stabilizing sof pasuk. Eventually, all the land became diversified in different scenic arrangements, rituals, architecture, and productions. These also gave birth to various concepts, doctrines, and philosophies. So we get different definitions of stability based on your local environment, based on the way that you were. we're coming back to the note at the top of the page. So this is on and from these, ume'ele. A common origin of non-neighboring nations could be traced by various similarities and comparable equivalents, including common roots of certain expressions.
You went backwards now?
Yeah, we read the note at the top of the page, because I think it's more talking about the whole sentence than just about that word. This differentiation from these three branches certainly is something that we can see that people who have a close cultural influence to a neighbor might have similar characteristics. So Roman and Greek philosophy look a lot the same, Roman and Greek deities look a lot the same, and so on. I think that's what he's referencing here. So yeah.
Vic, you have to get up. You know? Did your father like Shimshon Raphael Hirsch? Do you remember? Do you know?
He was. I wouldn't say tzaddik, but he
was
chassid. Sorry.
Right. Because I could see how he would like him. Does he mention him in the Parshat? Have we come across that or no?
I don't believe he mentioned.
Does he mention other people? You mentioned.
Rarely. So when we read for the pasuk, we're going to notice how the phrase Shlosha Ele, these three, stands apart and emphasizes Bnei Noach. And again, Me'ele is going to stand separate from how they're going to influence things going forwards. Nafza kol haaretz. Shlosha Ele Bnei Noach ume'ele nafza kol haaretz.
It's really getting us ready for the Midal, because Eila, there's so much Eila, you know. And Hirsch said that with that Elohim, which we always believe in the oneness of God. I think I told you this on the church. It comes from Elohim, because on the surface it looks like they're individual Eilas, but it's like Elohim is a bunch of Eilas under the same umbrella. It looks like it, but it's really all coming from one.
Okay, so we'll do one more sentence. We're on page 89, Parshat, Pasuk Kaf, 920. Vayachel, and he tried. So that's a little bit of an interesting interpretation. Normally it's translated and he began or and he started, but.
So what's the shortest there? That's a hard one to do short. Is it Chet Lamed Hey or?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. It's Chet Lamed Hey. And wait a minute. What's the one that we read on Rosh Chodesh or on our fast?
Yechal Moshe.
What's it there?
It's to pray, so it's
That'd be Chet Lamed Lamed maybe.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. Okay.
No. Hey.
Or Yud Chet Lamed or something. What do we say here? Chet Lamed Hey. I think it's Yud Chet Lamed there. Because isn't there one when there was two Yud Vayiyachel?
So Vayiyachel is to wait.
But where does it say Vayiyachel?
Noach with the dove.
And what's the shortest there then? One of them is Yud Chet Lamed, I think.
That's
one of Yud Chet Lamed.
Chala is to rest. So he waited. He rested for 7. So that's from Chet Lamed Hey.
And we're saying this one is also Chet Lamed Hey. We said.
So to start lahatchil tchila.
Well, that's the reflexive. Isn't he Tchil Hifa'el? That's the same.
Yes.
Like you start, make
but
yourself
this is a different one, right? To try is I don't know what route he has to try here. I'll have to go home and.
So is this the
write
same
down the
one
possibilities.
that we said that on Rosh Chodesh? No, is it not Rosh Chodesh? It's the fast days. When is it?
Yes.
Kitisa.
But that's from to pray to stand
And what's the one that she does in Purim? The Titchalal?
But
what is that one? The toughest one in front of it. That's also. That's more like praying, I guess. No.
Oh, so there she was startled.
But that could be like. Fear is chil also. That could be chet yud lamed. I mean, there's so many it could be.
Chet yud lamed, no?
Right.
Yes. So that would have the yud in between, and the yud drops off.
Right.
I'll have to think of where we get to try from Vayachel. I don't know.
Well, maybe because Hatchalah. What's a new beginning? Like when you keep trying something over and over, each time it's a new beginning. So
yeah. Might it be just from he began,
When you try something, you begin over and over again until you get it right or something.
I don't know the short share. Noach received assurances of the preservation and survival of species, and he tried to work to secure their maintenance, as indicated by the directional shape of the reading mark. This is a mercha. This is going to slightly be connected to what has come before, but mostly lead us into what's going on. So Noach is going to try to make things like they were before. He's going to slightly be connected, but make them go from here on in. Noach with a tipcha. This is going to close the thought and have a slight pause after it. Noach contributed to the survival of the animate world, and he preserved in the ark seeds and roots of various plants and vegetation. And he gets that from the Rabbah, for replanting after the flood was over, as shown by the closing shape of the reading mark.
He says Midrash Rabbah.
So Noach is going to finish off what he had started with his plan before the ark of making certain species continue from here on in. So he's going to complete his plan. So that's why he's got a tipcha with a pause after it. Noach himself is completing his original plan. Ish, a man.
Okay, Vayachel is not transitive, right? There's no object there. I almost expected an object. Like he tried something. It's almost like, what's that famous one where there's no
right. Don't forget, this is Hebrew to Hebrew translated to English and poetry translated to prose. So, and Noach tried.
But what's the famous Parshat? There's a Parshat with the first sentence is, there's no object, and you I went blank. Where is it? You expect an object, and you don't. Oh, it's Korach. Well, you can't Korach, right? He didn't take anything. He took honor to himself, or he took on, Because also there you'd expect a transitive, but Yikach usually does have an object. I don't know how this usually works, but that's what it just reminded me of. Like you think he tried something. He tried a new.
So because of the mechanics of this perush, we have to imply what Noach tried.
Or maybe,
and because Noach is what's completing the phrase, we have to infer that Noach had a plan before the flood, and therefore he's completing aspects of this plan that he had, which was to keep seeds and roots to repopulate various plants. Whereas, if you read it without this perush, Vayachel Noach ish ha'adama, Noach started as a farmer, or a man of the ground, well, that phrase is just fine. Noach started as a farmer.
Right.
Noach started to become a farmer. So, somebody who worked the land. So when you don't work within the bounds of this perush, then the sentence doesn't beg for an object, because it says, and what did he start to do? He started to be a farmer. He started to be somebody who worked the land. Right. So we don't need to infer something. Right. But because we're saying that there's this pause after tipcha, it says that we have to find something that completes the phrase at this point in the context of Noach.
Right.
And
I have another comment, like a new comment. Is that because we talked about survivor mentality after the Holocaust and how some people, they just never got their lives together again. There's the fact that he tried, without, like I'm doing like Yikach Korach, but the fact that he tried is already something. Because after a Holocaust, who wants to even try? So the fact that he tried is already something.
He got up and made the effort.
He made the effort.
So again, this is something.
Or he tried to be Noach again. He's not a broken person. He's trying to put the pieces together. And that's a good one. I like that. Even though I thought of it myself. No, because it doesn't have. It's like what you said. Because it doesn't have the object, Darshan, you have to explain it on its own terms. And then so what? Like, but you can't know what is, and that's how they get. That's why Korah. So Good. Okay.
Okay. Ish, a man. This is a munach. So this is going to be separated from what's come before and move forward. And we're going to come across this word ish, a man, in several contexts as we go through Torah. And most of the times where we find the word ish, we're not just talking about a man, any man.
Right.
We're usually talking about a man of importance. So this is more than just saying a man. This is saying an important man or an influential man.
Like with Yosef when he sees the Ish on the way to the brothers, it's like another worldly person. Why does he have the dash, a man?
The dash where?
In English even.
Because it's a single note group that's defined by more than one word. So he's doing the same thing in